All right, so hear me out.
Okay.
There's no secret that men need sex.
None at all.
But if we need it, then what do women need from us? So I think it's important to talk about at least the 5 sex needs that men and women need in order to thrive in their relationship. But, it's an important topic.
Well, let's talk about it.
All right, let's talk about it.
You're right. There is no secret that men and women have, what did you say? That men have very high sex needs.
Yeah, like it's no secret that we need it.
I think the difficulty for women becomes like need is just such a crazy word. And I think when you say I need it, it's like, what does that even mean? Like
what Alex said, I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to breathe.
What does that even mean though?
I told Christina, I said, baby, you don't understand the sex drive that men have. You don't understand the sex drive that I have. I need it in order to think. I need it in order to eat. I need it in order to do my production. I need it. I don't
hit records.
I listen. I want you to come over and say, come here.
You know what I'm saying?
What does that even mean though? Like break it down. I guess for women, break it down. Like, okay, when a man says I need this, what does that mean?
I mean, when he's saying he needs it, it's exactly what he means. Like, in order to function, I feel like we need it. Here's the thing. I think we don't know why, but I think it's wired in our nature, and we can't really express why we need it so much.
Like, communicate effectively.
Yeah, we can't communicate effectively of why we need it. And this is why I said we need to talk about the 5 sex needs that men and women go through and need in a relationship, because one, in the book that we read about this, it
Hashtag not a book club.
Hashtag not a book club. But it explained to us why we think this way, why we're wired so differently.
Right.
And how meeting the need of your spouse, if men met the need of their spouse more, our need would be met more.
So to preface that, right, to bring it into context, I think I talked about this at the end of the His Needs, Her Needs episode, where it was like, in doing research for that episode, we come across this other book. And hashtag, this is not a book club, right? This is not like Malcolm and Brittany reflections on books, but I will say in this season of our marriage in particular, and in our life, not just our marriage, but in our life, I think we've gone through some things that have made us more intentional about learning about the things that will enrich our marriage or make our marriage better, make our relationship better. Because one thing that I feel like the biggest issue between men and women and having proper communication is that we don't know how to do it right, or like we don't have the right words or the right terms. And one of the reasons why we wanted to start our podcast was to create opportunities that give the words and give the language to people being able to start those conversations and start to communicate effectively, because of some things that we've experienced the same, that listening to podcasts, listening to shows, watching movies or watching shows that have allowed us to start and spark different conversations. So I say all that to say that's the reason why our podcast actually ended up getting started. But in this episode, in this season's research, I'm looking for the His Needs, Her Needs book, and I come across this book called The 5 Sex Needs of Men and Women. And when you're talking about the biggest issues between men and women, it's sex.
Yeah, it's the biggest divider.
Yes. So because of that, it intrigued me, and I'm like, I got to look into this. And I remember when I started, skimming through it, I called you immediately, like, you have to listen to this. And I started reading you some stuff, and we were like, yo, we got to talk about this, because I think it's one thing to talk about the needs that men and women have, but I think it's another thing when you specifically tie that to the biggest divider being sex. And so that's why we wanted to bring this one and kind of discuss our findings and like our thoughts in regards to what we found out and share that with you guys, because from a marital standpoint and from a sex standpoint, we know that's what everybody wants to talk about. It's a highly taboo topic, and I don't think it's discussed enough because it's not discussed properly. But I'm ready to talk about this because I think it changed our marriage. Let me ask you before we get into the actual details, like, how do you feel like, after the findings of the information that we got from this book, like, what do you think changed for us physically or like in the understanding kind of space?
After reading this book, I felt like I lacked intentionality in meeting the needs of you, because it's easy to think like, man, I'm not, my wife is not giving me enough sex, or it's easy to say that I feel like I need more, but you got to look on the flip side of things. Like, okay, how are you meeting the need of her in order for her to meet the need of you? Mm-hmm. And what it allowed me to do is have some self-reflection of, okay, if affirmation is one of the bigger needs, am I affirming her enough?
Right.
And how am I making her feel throughout the day? Because we talked about the withdrawals and stuff like that in his needs, her needs, right? Mm-hmm. About making these daily deposits. Mm-hmm. Like, so am I affirming her throughout the day? Am I affirming her throughout the week? Does she feel like a woman because of the things I'm saying to her? Does she feel secure? Does she feel like I desire her, and not just in a sexual way, but just in a humanity way? Like, I desire you as a person. I desire to get to know you better. I desire to know more of what you like, don't like. Mm-hmm. These things that men think like that's just too much. We don't care about that, and we don't.
Right.
But it's not about what you care about, because especially when we're talking about working through your marriage, mm-hmm. it's about now. Okay, how can I serve her? How can I better serve this person? How can I better serve him? In order for me to now have not even get it reciprocated.
Yeah, I was about to say that,
because you don't want to do things in order to have it be reciprocated, but mm-hmm. it just opens the door for reciprocation without you needing it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the book did for me.
For me, I think it was important to really understand that, actually understand what sex really means for men. Like that whole, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only woman that is going to listen to this and thinking, when you hear your man say, I need it, that is like, I need it. Like that just does not make any sense. Mm-hmm. And I need to know what need really means. And I think, like I said, the book actually put it into perspective to understand, like, when your man said he needed, these are the things that it equates to for him. Like the weight of sex to me was never that. Like it was an activity to me for you, if that makes sense. Like sex is a thing. It's not a need. Like that don't make sense to me. It's an action. It's an activity. Mm-hmm. What do you mean you need this? But in now having that level of understanding, I can even see more of the repercussions of a no, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and repercussion sounds like a crazy word, but it's like, when we get into the details of this, it's going to make sense. But like, I never understood the weight of a no, the weight of the level of rejection that men feel. And I think it will make a lot more relationships healthy if you now understand it. It's not to say that it's perfect. It's not to say that now every waking request has been, aye, aye, Captain, like, as you wish, my lord. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. That hasn't been what it is. You know what I mean? But I now am a lot more conscious of the situation. It is not just yes or no.
Well, let's get into them.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Talk about, I guess, from the men's perspective, mm-hmm. or not from their perspective, but talk about what are the top 5 needs for a man.
So
sexually.
The top 5: mutual satisfaction.
Okay.
Connection. The responsiveness of the wife. Or woman, which is weird because it says men and women, but then it starts talking about husband and wife. So whatever. Y'all get the point. The initiation of her and affirmation.
All right, so let's get into this. Okay.
And I'm glad we're starting with men first because I found that the man side of it was a lot more detailed than the woman's side of it. The woman's side was just giving straight bullet points. This is what you need to do. This is what it means for her. But it starts with the top 3, and then I guess like the top 3 are the most important. The second, the last, the 4th and 5th one are kind of like, they cool. Right. But these first 3 are like the most important. So the first one being mutual satisfaction. It said a man feels like a man when he can please his wife.
This is 100% true.
What does that mean?
I mean, think of it like this: we're fighting constant battles daily, men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the number one, I think, thing for a man to feel like a man, it is to like, okay, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It don't matter if I'm getting shit on at work, people don't respect me, you know, in my workplace, whatever it is. When I come home, I am sexually fulfilling my wife. Because think about how quickly you can hurt the male ego.
If you say trash in bed?
What? Just think about if a man heard that from his wife.
Oof.
Or from his significant other. What would that? Do you think that would build him, or would that diminish him and you know, and his ego even smaller? And because he's fighting daily battles now, it's like if I'm not the priest of my own home, if I'm not the man of my home, and I'm not fulfilling her, well, who the heck can I fulfill? You know what I'm saying? So yes, I can agree with that.
I thought that was interesting because it said that nearly 50% of men say that their identity is locked up in their level of sexuality, like how they are sexually.
Well, you think about how for men it's like a game. Mm-hmm. It's like how many people you slept with, how many
Crazy.
people can I conquer? This idea of conquering.
So let's talk about that, right?
Okay.
Because so let's talk about a younger man, because if you're talking about college, I remember like one of the first conversations you and I had was all about body count. And it's interesting because like you said, men are more focused on conquering and building building the stash up, or whatever the hell you want to call it.
List,
building the list, checking it twice, Santa Claus, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it's like, so you now equate your identity to, is that why y'all talk about it? Is that why y'all consistently compare numbers? And not to throw any of my guys out there, I love all of my brothers from college, but if we could be real about it, y'all used to literally, well, not y'all, because you was with me, let it be known, not y'all, but the ones who were single at that time would like play a game, I guess what you would call it, of like who could rack up the most bodies or who could hit the most girls. Why? Like, what does that do for you? Is that the ego boost? Is that the confidence builder in your sexuality? And is that why you feel like, is that truth to why identity is wrapped up in your level of sexuality?
Yeah, it's 100% why it's wrapped up. But I mean, of course, it feeds the ego. And think about it, everything's always competition. So if you're in competition in that space, you winning is feeding your ego. You know what I'm saying? And what it does, though, is it detaches you emotionally from sex. So when you think about when you talk about meeting the needs of your spouse, we're not wired to meet the need because we haven't been doing that our entire life. That's not what we were having sex for. You know what I'm saying? We was having sex solely for our pleasure, not the other person's.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So when you get into a marriage and now you have somebody that you're only having sex with this one person. And now you got to meet the need of this person. And you have your entire life, you haven't been practicing how to meet the need of anybody.
Right.
So now if my wife comes to me and tells me you're not meeting my need sexually, then what?
What does that feel like?
Well, I don't know what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? First,
what would it feel? I'm not saying like what does it feel like for you, like, but in the hypothetically, if that was a situation that happened between you and I, like, because I think the whole point of like talking about it is like bringing forth the understanding of what that does to the man, or what goes on through y'all head, because the whole issue between all of this stuff, especially with women, and us wanting communication, us wanting to understand you, us want you to talk about your feelings and your emotions, is like, what now does that do if you hear like, you know what I'm saying, you're not satisfying me?
I mean, I think it just diminishes your self-worth. I just feel like
self-worth.
I feel like a man would just feel like yo, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like who the if I can't please my wife, if I can't please the one person that I'm supposed to, where's my value? You know what I'm saying? Because men value themselves based on monetary and how they please their woman sexually. You know what I'm saying? So they go hand in hand.
Okay.
So, say a man with no money and no sexual fulfillment, this is a lost man. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Think about it. I mean, when you think about that, so yes, if that was to be said in my marriage, now we're feeling like less than, and that's a dark space to be in. If a man feels less than, how does he now walk around day to day?
So I think what was also interesting that it said this in particular, and I want you to kind of break it down. So if the need is now mutual satisfaction, meaning like you want to know that I'm not just doing this to please myself. I want to know that I have pleased you as well. Break down what it feels like hearing I could just lay there and let you do your thing.
I feel like that's like, you talking about the woman saying that to
Right,
the
like,
man?
so now, like, if it's like, that is a thing that has been said, like, you got it, just go ahead. You know
Just
what I'm
go
saying?
ahead,
Like, you're in your layman's terms is calling it a dead fish.
Yeah, she laying like a dead fish does nothing for us. Like, yes, we'll take it. You know what I'm saying? But the second the second sex need is connection. So how do I feel connected to somebody that I'm supposed to be literally? God told me I can only have sex with you, and the feeling is not mutual that you want to do it with me. I now feel like you don't want me.
It's crazy. This is the part that changed my life, right? Is
Okay.
knowing that makes you feel, what makes you feel like you don't want me. It's not just not having sex with me. It's you don't want me. And I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like,
men want the reciprocation, the desire, the lustfulness that we have for you all. We want that in return. And I feel like a lot of men struggle with receiving that in return. I feel like a lot of women struggle with showing that in return. You know what I'm saying?
but there's a reason why, and this book breaks it down. It's that we're literally wired the opposite way. Affirmation is the first, and affection is like the first thing for a woman. It's the last thing for a man.
Affection.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But
And it didn't even say affection. It actually said affirmation for a man. But
connection is our affection.
right, and that's the part that changed everything for me.
Okay.
Like, I gotta read this in particular because this is what really changed the game. It says sex builds connections for a man in the same way that talking and helping around the house builds connection for a woman. So like those things where we're like, I need help, or I want to feel connected to you, and that I want to have engaging conversations and, intimate things where we can discuss us and how you're feeling and all that stuff like that. And y'all like, I don't want to do that. I don't care to do that. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not your girlfriend. Yeah. But it was learning for me that sex is that for you. That's where you feel connected. Like, so it says sometimes the best way to unlock your man's emotions is through satisfying his physical needs for sex. That's when they let down their guard and become the most vulnerable.
Because that's he's thinking the most clear. You know what I'm saying? Like
the clarity thing is even crazy to me.
The release of stress. It's a stress relief. It's, you know what I'm saying? So if you want your questions answered, it's probably going to come by way of that need being met.
Well, then you're going to have to, like, so let's break this down. Okay. If you're a night sexer because y'all work all day, you know what I'm saying? And you going to roll over and go to bed after that? So how do I get my questions answered? Because I feel like that's sometimes what women think. Like, you are keen to say, why do you ask me questions in the middle of the night? And I'm like, well, if these things are telling me that this is the moment, you just said it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking the most clear. I'm the most vulnerable. I feel good. I'm confident now. Where's my shot to ask you the question if you're going to start snoring in the next 5 minutes?
Because I don't think it's that cookie cutter. Like, I don't think it's like, okay, now I got him where I want him. 5 minutes after this,
tell me about your 5-year-long plan.
Yeah, tell me about your 5-year-long goals. Like, I don't think it's like that. But I think, okay, say we have sex at night, right? Mm-hmm. We do our thing. It was great. We both met our needs. You know what I'm saying? And by next day, we're having a conversation. You bring something to the forefront that you need answered. I feel like that man is going to be way more open to answering the question that you have because he's had his need met. It doesn't matter the time frame. I don't feel like it's a cookie cutter. Like, let me ask him 5 minutes directly after this, so I know I can get the right answer. No, I think it's about, okay, she did her thing last night. You know what I'm saying? We think about
That's
this,
hilarious.
and we'll run through a wall for you. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And by you giving by you getting your questions answered or giving these questions, you'll get them answered because we now feel like, okay, she's reciprocating what I've been putting out there. Like, if I've been lusting over you and desiring you, and you're giving me that same energy, why wouldn't I be open to, meaningful conversation?
I think the issue becomes with that, right? And I think it is important to understand that that's how he connects. But I think the issue becomes where we're not getting the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, our love bank isn't getting filled up, but I have to now respond to your sexual advances, if that makes sense. I have to now want to connect in that way because that is what your need is. And honestly, I'm more intentional about it. I'm more observant of it. I pay a lot more attention to that, but it doesn't stop the need that I also have. And sometimes that need not being met, but knowing that I have to now feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's frustrating to feel like I'm not getting that in return, but I have to meet this need consistently as well.
I mean, how do is it on us to fulfill it, or is it on the other person to communicate what they need first?
But y'all know what women need, though. That's the thing. We've already discussed this. When a man asks why you're not getting as much sex as you would want, the response is typically because I don't feel emotionally connected to you. And so emotional connection is what allows the freak to come out. If we're being honest, like, that's what allows me to want to be sexual. That's what allows me to want to do all the things, is because my connection to you is high. I feel connected to you emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, which then in turn gives you the physicality that you want. And so it's like, you want the physicality, not you, but typically men want more physicality, but they're not willing. Like, I think we had a conversation one time with our friends. I think Corey and Alex were over at the house or something like that. And Alex's wife Christina, she was there, and I think we posted this on the Aftermath. It was an episode we had. It was an extra episode that we had after the men's episode, and it was like, y'all are like, I'm not about to take you on 5 dates every week just to get sex 5 times a week. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about, because it's not just about dating me. That is another part, is that the pursuit is never the same. You know what I'm saying? The pursuit consistently changes, and so it's like, you want me to cut the freak up, but the level of pursuing me, because I'm no longer a goal for you, or, you already hit, you know what I'm saying? You already conquered, especially if you married it. Well, now I've done all the things. So it's like the level of pursuit that the man now has for the woman, especially his wife, is, if that changes, but it's like, you want me to heighten up the level of sex because I need it that bad. I can't even think, because you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what becomes frustrating for us as women, is that whether or not my love bank gets full, it's still an expectation for you.
And I think for men, is that it's the constant need to ask. It's the constant need to feel like, okay, this thing is one-sided. Like, a lot of men feel like, if I don't initiate, it doesn't get done.
That's true.
So let's talk about that. Like, because
that's later in the
okay.
That's
right.
later. That's later. But before we pass connection, because it is a need, so I don't want to tap into it and bounce around, because it is one of your needs. But my question is, for a woman that's looking to build the connection with her husband in this area, what are some simple things that a woman can do to make her man feel important, like their priority? Because it talked about this, and we've talked about this before, that the no almost feels like I'm not a priority to you. For a man.
For a man. Believe it or not, I think men would enjoy compliments. Like, think about, women go throughout their entire life or entire day being chased and sought after. And it's typically the man chasing you. But I feel like men would appreciate their wife kind of giving that same kind of level of appreciation, lust, or whatever you want to call it, of, hey, you look good today. or you this, you that. You know what I'm saying? Like a sexy text message. A text message saying like you did this last night, and simple stuff that I feel like women skip over, but men would appreciate it so much more, and it would feel a need that they probably don't even know is there. You know what I'm saying? And it would want him to go that extra mile. And I think it's all about incentivizing somebody to go that extra mile for the other person. And I think we lose sight of that.
I can understand that. The third one, responsiveness. And it says, when a wife rejects her husband, this is where things really change for me. And ladies, I'm going to say, please hear me out on this one. When I read this, I sent this book to all my friends that are wives, like, I have found the playbook for wifedom, for wifehood. Because, like I said, the issue is that we don't understand what I need it means. It's not enough for us.
Yeah.
One, because women are very communicative. We're way more descriptive than that.
Yeah.
So I need it, don't cut it for us. When I read this book, ladies, let me tell you, well, I didn't read the book because I'm just not a reader. I'm a skimmer. I get the parts I need to. This right here, responsiveness, it says when a wife rejects her husband's advances, he often interprets her lack of sexual response as I don't care about you or your needs are not important to me. And so this is where I talked about this at the beginning, where I had to learn what my responses meant to him, like what they communicate to him.
Yeah, being conscious of
being conscious of it don't even matter how it comes out, whatever. It's understanding that this response can communicate this to him. Not just saying absolutely, you know what I'm saying? And it said in the book too, like, and a woman would read this and be like, so I can say no, never. And it's like, nah, it's not you can't say no. It's just you do need to understand what it turns into in his head.
Right. Because I think it's more so about how you say no.
Yes.
Like I mean, of course you're not gonna always be in the mood. I mean, believe it or not, we're not always in the mood too.
We'll never believe that, but yes.
Yeah, okay. You'll never believe that, but I feel like it's the way the response is. Sometimes the response can be condescending.
So give me a response.
Okay. What's an advance I would give you? Like, will I grab your butt? Would I say? I don't know. I'll probably say some random stuff. It doesn't.
You say some very wild stuff, so I'm just trying to figure out if that's what you want me to say on here. Your mother watches this.
Oh Lord Jesus. Okay. All right. Let's not go there. Anyway, if I say, hey, babe, I want to have sex tonight. Mm-hmm. And you say, do you want to do it tonight? Well, I just said tonight. You know what I'm saying? So what
is a better response for you?
What's a better response?
Mm-hmm. Oh, not tonight.
No, babe, I would love to. But can we do this and the third first? Maybe is it that y'all really don't want to?
It's not.
Or is
sometimes it really is. Like, you got to understand that it's just not a need for us. So because it's not a need, it doesn't become a priority where it's like, oh my God, yes, I can't wait for this. Now, I can't speak. This is not for all women because there are some women with higher sex drives than men, or than other women. But I think because it's not a priority for us, it's not me saying, like, it's not thought of. Men talk about this being on their mind all day. Like, you say it all the time. Women will never understand how many times a man is horny a day.
No,
or a man wants to have sex a day. And so it's like, I can promise you, it's probably not on our mind half of the time. Half of the time that it's on your mind.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think women do not understand the magnitude of even being silent in that moment, not saying anything, or just saying no in general, because we're such visual creatures.
Understand that. And there was a part where it also talked about, and you could talk to this, is like what it taught you also in responsiveness is how y'all receive the response, how you receive the silence, how you receive the no. Or because sometimes for women, our minds, if you ask me that, mm-hmm. and I know I just put a load in the laundry. I know that I still got to cook dinner, and then the kitchen is dirty. Kaden's still awake. All these things, right? I got to get prepared for a client, or I got a meeting tomorrow. Like all these things. Mm-hmm. If you put all those things into my mind, like that's how our minds work. So sometimes it's not that it's not on our mind. It's that as you asked me, I had to sort through all the other things on my list of to-dos to now see how that can fit. You know what I'm saying? And it might not be that I don't want to. It might be that I do want to, but I still, our minds are wired to always go through what has to get done too.
Yeah. So when I'm reading this book, and it talked about how men feel rejected, but it's not always that y'all are rejecting. It's more so about you're doing exactly that. You're thinking about all the things and all the things that might have to get done throughout the day. So sex is not in the forefront of your mind. And what I had to see is that, okay, what we have to start doing is ask ourselves, is she rejecting me in this moment? Or is she needing my help in this moment? Is she needing me to be the need in order for my need to get met too? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think we think of it like that. We initially just say, okay, she rejected me, fuck this bitch, I'm mad. You know what I'm saying? And then resentment falls into place and frustration. Because how else do a married couple get to a point where you're not having sex at all?
I understand that.
It has to be some built up frustration there of, okay, I've asked too many times and she ain't, you know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, that this was an eye-opener. I think it's a very hefty playbook for anybody who's in a serious relationship or want to be married and married long-term, is to understand what this really does mean for your relationship. And so in it telling you now, she's actually sorting through in her mind, computing, and actually when she got through with all that, her response was, that would be nice. I would love to have sex tonight. But because it took me too long to tell you that, now you took it as you mad already.
I'm already mad. Yes.
The moment they'd be like, the moment is already gone. I don't want, and it's like, but that's not even what it was going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what it was. And so, and then like I said, like I'm on both ends of it, of like understanding what it means as your wife, but also being able to, like when women say I want to be in the mind of a man, this is what this was. And it said, when a wife responds to her husband's sexual needs, he feels loved. But he feels loved. But when she ignores or overtly rejects this need, he feels unwanted and unloved. He's hurt by her frustrated looks or half-hearted attempts and complaints. Sex is a man's way of feeling close. When a wife rebuffs or ignores this sexual advance, she sends the message that she doesn't want to be close to him. And so I value or desire the closeness so much that I was willing to make the adjustment, if that makes sense. Because I understand I need sex now.
So from a man's perspective.
Like it makes sense now. Okay. So it's like I can't be just like, I really don't feel like it. Sometimes I really be like, get your head together, get your mind together, go ahead and get all the things out the way. Get in real life. Go get your head in the game. Get all this stuff done early. You know what I'm saying? Put the baby to bed. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being more intentional about the things, because I can't always just put it on you, because I desire the closeness. And if that's what makes him feel close, then I can't always just say no and want it to be my way for you to meet my needs in order for me to do it in return.
Yeah, I get that.
That's what I learned from this. And that's where I felt like this was a major game changer for married couples, essentially, but really for women. Because I think a lot of times, a lot of things are geared more towards men understanding what the woman needs.
Yeah.
This right here changed everything.
I see why it's important for both parties to understand the needs that need to be met, because you sitting under one roof and you don't even know.
At all. We've been together for 10 years. Yes. I just learned this last month.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Or 2 months ago or whatever. So let's break down what happens when his needs aren't met, and then how we can try to meet these needs. Now, of course, it has way more stuff in here, y'all, but these are the ones that I thought made sense for me.
Okay.
Right. It says when his needs aren't met, he may withdraw sexually. He may withdraw emotionally. When they're not met, he may become angry and resentful. I've seen plenty of those. And he may become vulnerable to sexual temptation.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not rocking, so
Right.
I need to be rocking. Amen.
No, seriously. No, but that's a real thing because, and I said this earlier, it's because men are visual creatures. So, in a world where everything on social media is at your fingertips,
Is ass and titties.
and this is all he sees all day. What do you think if you're not even remotely trying to meet some of that need? You know what I'm saying? Trying to be sexy, trying to sending him text messages. You know what I'm saying?
You remember what you asked me earlier? Like, do women what did you say? Do women intentionally try not to be sexy?
Let me ask this because do you think women ever try to make themselves undesirable to their husbands so they don't want to have sex?
Absolutely.
With them? Why? I need to know this. I need to know this.
Because some days it really is off the table. Dead ass. Like sometimes it's just not today's just not that day. Like I literally genuinely do not want to. And so the only way for me to not have to tell you no is to become a nun for the day.
Is to become a nun.
Think about it. Like if I'm not desirable, then I also don't have to reject you. Does that make sense? Like it's like, and call us wrong for it, but it's just the truth. You asked me an honest question. The truth is sometimes yes. That means I'm probably going to put on the biggest hoodie, right? And probably your ball shorts. Now, sometimes you might like that depending on what's on top of the ball shorts. Depends on, you know what I mean? But you're not a boob guy, so it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and you know there are days where I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and just do all the things because I already know what time it is. I'm priming you up all day. Based off of what I got on.
I could tell when you want it. Like, you're wearing booty shorts and it's like, okay.
Sometimes it's not because I want it, though.
I know, but you already know it's provoking. So
correct. But this is before today, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that. And I know that that's what you want. Because if you go outside or you go to the gym and you see somebody else like that, especially in the summer in Atlanta, and you come home and I got on a muumuu.
An apron and a muumuu.
A muumuu, you know what I'm saying? Like, you over here like, bro, what is this? You got on a long dress. No.
Yeah, but like, why? Being undesirable, I feel like.
It's not all the time.
But are women ready for the possible repercussion of that?
No. You're not ready for the repercussion, but it doesn't change the fact that for me, I can't speak for all women. I would say in the moments where I actively become undesirable and put on my muumuu and look like a full-time mom.
Hilarious.
I'm being real. You asked the question, I'm answering it. And look like a full-time mom is literally because I rather not say no. I would rather you be like, what the hell is she wearing? Like, blah, blah, blah. So that I don't have to even do the whole rejection part, if that makes sense. I would prefer to not do that. You won't ask. If you see me put on granny panties that day, if you see me put on the muumuu, I got on your ball shorts and a hoodie, you're like, okay, she's going to the game. She's not it. Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying?
Not it.
And I'm not saying that it's right, but that I think if your question is why, sometimes it's really like, I would rather not say no. So let me make it say no. So my words don't have to.
Fellas, you hear this?
I'm sorry.
Is crazy.
What is it crazy?
Yeah, because we don't sit there and try to look undesirable to y'all.
Well, we're not visual creatures.
Y'all emotional creatures.
Now it's not to say that because you know what I'm saying, like for me, when you started getting a little hefty, I was like, listen.
Yeah, time to get a gym.
You got to go. Cause I'm not doing that. Cause you know once it's too far gone, it's probably harder to lose.
Yeah, but what if a man said that? What if a man said that to
this is not the point of this episode.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't. Are y'all willing to have that same reciprocation? Though?
We've had conversations like that before.
No, we have, but I'm saying women in general. You think women could take that? Like, if a man said to his wife, "Hey, I think you're getting fat. It's time to go to the gym."
I think there's a way that a man would have to say it because women are emotional creatures. If you say that, like that, I'm cussing you out, and I'm gonna say F you. First of all,
Right.
F you. I had your whole child,
Yeah,
and you got me pregnant after I got fine because I was in the gym. So nigga, you ruined the whole thing. I was consistent. I was in the gym for over a year consistently with the trainer,
Right.
and then you got me pregnant. So this is your fault.
Okay.
Don't even get me on this because I will go.
Look,
And this is
that's still
exactly,
crazy.
if he ever said it to me, that's exactly what the hell I'm
That's
gonna say.
still crazy though, because
Are you nuts?
it would be the woman blaming
I'm doing my best.
the man for not trying to keep up
Listen,
herself, which is crazy.
I'm not saying don't keep up yourself. So let's talk about it. How do you meet his needs? It says realize sex plays a major role in helping him process life, which is what the whole need thing, ladies. It
I
helps
don't
him
really
process.
understand that. That's crazy.
That's
Process
what,
life.
That's what you just said. You just said men needed to eat. They need the clarity. It's talking about clarity. The whole point of
Okay,
that
yeah.
is the mental clarity. Sex has this miraculous ability to clear a man's mind and help him solve problems.
Okay.
So that's why it says help you process life.
I got you.
Because y'all said that though, which is crazy. Y'all just don't know how to make it make sense to women.
No, not at all.
But you're like, process life. But if I say, does it give you clarity? And you like, hell yeah, that's why we need it. Okay, I can't think. Well, wouldn't that be processing your life?
Right.
Right? Say yes as often as possible. Jesus Christ. If you must say no, don't say it right away.
No.
Decide to enjoy sex with him.
Decide to enjoy. It's wild. Like that y'all have to decide to enjoy instead of just enjoying the ride.
If I don't
You're
want
about
to
to
do
get-
it, what do you mean enjoy it? Like, I have to now put myself in that headspace. Think about it.
How can we get y'all into the headspace more?
When we talk about the women's needs, decide to enjoy sex, help your spouse know how to please you. Get over shyness, because that's another thing that y'all don't have to deal with, is that men are so sexually open for so long that it is kind of difficult. Especially, we talked about this. They talked about this at church. We went to a couples night the other night, and our pastors talked about like women that grow up in church, women period, it's like put onto us to be pure. You know what I'm saying? You want to be, what do they call it? You don't want to be provocative, or, like your mom or your mom or your grandmother would say, you don't want to be like those girls, type
right.
thing, right? And so now, but then it's like you get married and they're like, oh, you about to get pregnant and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, nigga, you just made me be a nun my whole life. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
How
but
you
then I'm just
expect
supposed
me
to just, freakify myself after not, wanting to be sexy my whole life.
Right.
And then it says realize that your husband's emotions don't work like yours. And so I think this goes perfectly into your question about women. So you talk about the women's needs.
Women's needs. All right. So
We done spent the whole time talking about men because y'all so effing complicated.
they talked about the first one of the sex needs for women is affirmation. Second is connection. Then non-sexual touch,
My God,
which is wild. Spiritual intimacy,
that is very true. Prayer is the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
and lastly, romance. What?
My father said this one time. I don't know who he was talking to. My parents are marriage counselors. I've said this many times. And I think I overheard one of their sessions or one of their events they were doing. And he said that prayer is an aphrodisiac. I have friends, and we talk about this all the time, like how sexy it is for a man to submit himself to God. What the hell? That is fire.
I don't get it. I really don't get that.
It's different.
That's the last thing I'm doing is catching a hard one, praying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see that.
You know why though? This
Why?
is a woman's need. It's not a
Well,
man's need. So
obviously.
you don't care as long as it's sexy. If it's visual, that's your thing. Like our whole thing is emotional. Spirituality is a connection that is unseen. You know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna get that if the majority of what men need is physical.
That makes sense.
That'll preach.
Well, I mean, it says okay, for affirmation, you want to give her genuine compliments. Actively listen to what she says.
My God.
So not just hearing what she says, but listening and
Or staring at her face as she speaks and then saying, "Damn, that's crazy."
Is that because that's what I do?
Like a mug. Like literally, I know when you're actively listening versus I'm talking and you're there. You know what I'm saying? Those are two different moments.
Okay.
Am I lying?
No, you're not. You're not.
Cause
Lying.
y'all be like, "Did you hear me?" No. What did you say? Like
Y'all be
what?
go. I think men just don't have as many words as y'all. Like, y'all have so
You
many
don't
words.
need that many words to listen.
Yeah, you're right. But y'all be asked. You know what it is? Y'all give the quiz after you speak.
Yes.
So what did I say? Okay. All right.
Well,
I had never done good at tests, so
you weren't listening in the first place. So honestly, if you, but the
I
times
was
when,
when we regurgitate something that they hear that quickly, let it process, and then
so you're a
I heard you.
subconscious listener.
Probably. I think all men are subconsciously listening. We hear it, and we're listening subconsciously, but directly after you say it, I can't regurgitate all that. What?
That's why maybe active listening requires you to actually converse with me. Like, oh, okay, so she said what then?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll stay on track.
Maybe so. Okay. So it says, giving her the opportunity to slow down from her busy pace of life.
For sure.
Talk to me about that. Like, what does that mean?
I mean, like, we're building businesses full time, and I'm a wife and a mother. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, my life is always busy. My life is always busy because my mind is always running. It don't even have to actually be busy physically, but mentally, there's always something you're thinking about. And so when you always talk to me about, like, when I go to take a nap or like when I go get in the bed, you're like, you're not even asleep. I'm like, yeah, because it's the first time I didn't have to think about nobody else and I can actually think for myself. Or
You're right, but I think when I say that, I feel like I'm trying to
get me to rest.
give you the opportunity
Correct.
to
And that's
get away from your
and that's
your
wonderful.
life.
The
You know
truth
what
of the
I'm
matter,
saying?
but it's like it doesn't stop my mind from running. It's just this the first, because I feel like when you're a wife and you're a mother and you're building businesses, especially if you're in the people type of business, there's always somebody that needs something from you. And so because there's always somebody who needs something from you, you're thinking about what you have to do. And then you're trying to also meet the needs of yourself, of the things that you want to create, like as a businesswoman, and doing that and servicing clients and all that kind of stuff like that. Like I can't not think about these things.
Yeah.
But it's probably the first time I had the opportunity to, because I'm attending to other people's needs all the time. And so I think that's really what it is finding a way to, hey, babe, do you think I booked you a massage? So I think for women, it's more about intentionality.
Yeah, I was about to ask
I
you,
want
how
to
can
know
men better
that,
give you the opportunity.
right, are you thinking about me?
Let's talk. Well, let me read off why they say it's important for these sexual needs to be met.
Okay.
For women, because it says it builds trust. It helps her want to please her husband. It revs up the engine,
It does.
obviously, and it melts the tension and stress for both. So it leads to positive chemistry, and it keeps her physically and emotionally healthy within your relationship. Now, what happens when it isn't met is she feels disappointment, she feels rejected, and she may begin to be doubtful and mistrust and have mistrust. But it says it may see her husband as selfish.
For sure.
Okay. And she may become irritable and resentful, start to pull away sexually, and she may try to punish her man. And does she try to punish her man through
Probably
sex?
without having it.
By withholding sex? That's going to create a whole nother world of problems. And she may look elsewhere to have her needs met.
Maybe.
My God. That's deep. So which one of these do you want to talk about first? Because
I mean, I think all of them are valid, because the thing is, I think the reason why we want to talk about this in general is literally this reason, is like getting the understanding, because sometimes the men are like, I don't understand why it's such a big deal. Like I'm not gonna just, it's not asking to go on dates every day. It's this stuff. It's feeling emotionally connected as if I matter to you beyond what I can give you. You know what I mean? And so if you knew it built trust with her, if you knew, what did it say? That it helps her want to please you, that it's what revs up the engine. It's not what you just were talking about, where it's like, well, why don't you just want to touch me? Like, why don't you just want to rub on me? And it's like, because I want to just be held. I want to feel safe, secure in your presence, in your arms. And I don't want it to have to be a happy ending for you to feel like that was worth your time. Does that make sense? And so it's like, if you know that that's what leads to the positive chemistry, if you know that's what leads to lack of stress and all that kind of stuff like that, then would it not become a priority for you? The same way I said that, because I understood now what rejection meant for you, I'm more intentional about what I do in those moments. And I don't think men give us that same I feel like as women, we are more willing to do the work in learning what's necessary. Let me not say women. I am
Okay.
willing to do the work of.
But I am too. That's the good thing about it.
Yes, that is the good thing about it. But I think that's the issue, is that most men that I know or that I've come in contact with, or that my friends have dated, it's always the same thing where it's like, it's not a priority for me, and I can't do for you because you think of it as a physical thing in regards to like taking me out and all that stuff like that. I can't do that for you the way that I need, with the quantitative amount of sex that is necessary for me. And I don't think that's fair. You know what I mean? And so I think this, when you understand why that, like, just that alone is enough for me. I don't need anything else to know. Like, when I read, why is it important to you and what happens when it's not met, I now only want to know, how do I start to meet those needs? I don't think it's always that simple to men, where it's like, I didn't ask you to take me on 47 dates.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I asked you to be intentional with wanting to converse with me. I asked you to share with me what's in your heart too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't even always me wanting to just blab off and talk to you all day. It's, I want to get to know you too. I want to know, like, this is my question. It's like, where does the pursuit stop? Like, it's like we conquered it. I married you. I've been sleeping with you for however long, so I no longer need to do the things that I did. And it's like, that's where emotional disconnect begins for us, because it's like, damn, you did all this just to get me to live with you and be the only person that you can have sex with, and now you don't want to do nothing with me? That's crazy.
I mean, the thing is, complacency is a real thing. So when you get into a day-to-day life with somebody, it's very easy to slip into monotony, you know what I'm saying? And slip into routine, and forgetting that this is a whole woman. This ain't just like a roommate, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to differentiate. Like, this is not just your room. This woman needs emotional support. She needs to feel secure. She needs to be taken out. She needs, you know, it ain't like she's a pet. You know, she's not a pet.
Even pets have to be taken out. You take your pet out more than you take your wife out.
I cannot.
You take your pet. You out here not trying to be out too late because you got to take your dog out. Your dog is probably scratching at the door, and you ain't even trying to take your. Think about it. You brought that up, and that is a great point, because a man with a pet would ensure that the pet was taken out, so they don't tear up your damn house, so it don't piss all over your house. But you don't look at that. I'm not saying that. What did you say?
I said, here you go with a word.
I'm not saying that it's a word. What I'm saying is, if you really think about that in a physical, like, vibe, is that a man who has a pet, a couple who has a pet, the man is going to be concerned about that pet not peeing all over the house, pooping all over the house, tearing up the house while you're gone, that you're going to make sure that you're there, and that when you are there, that you take them out when they need to be taken out, so that they don't tear shit up.
Yeah.
But you would never equate that to, like, you trying to figure out why she acting so crazy, because you ain't take her out, so she tearing shit up.
And I'm no way, comparing women to pets.
I'm not.
I'm no way. I'm
not comparing women to pets. I'm comparing the level of care and attentiveness to what you would do for a pet, and not for the person that you're doing life with. Yeah. That is the comparison of your level of detail, attention to detail that you would have for that. Same way, the way you care for your car. You don't want the inside of your car dirty. You're going to make sure your car is getting washed. You're going to make sure that the carpets are clean. You're going to make sure that everything is cleaned out because of the way that you care for a car. But why are you not putting this? I think that's what women's question often is why you don't want to put that level of detail into me.
I think that's a whole nother pod. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother situation. Oh my God, here you go. All right, so, but I feel like, just play devil's advocate, I feel like even if men do this, like, they meet your emotional need, and they, you know what I'm saying, they really
don't even do it.
They cater to your emotional need. I feel like there's still going to be this lack of initiation towards him, because men desire to be desired. So
that's the thing.
Let's talk about
why
do women struggle with initiating sex for men? With men.
Before you say initiation, here's what I was going to say before you got to the actual question about the question being about initiation. Okay. The book said this in regards to women and men, women toward men, in regards to meeting the sexual needs. It was saying that women will respond to this and say, I tried that. And it said it's not enough to try. You have to consistently do this. This is like a lifestyle. Like you have to continuously do this. So I think what happens is what you're saying is, oh, well, when I put in the effort or when we do the stuff, when we do insinuates that it ain't often. It's being done for something. So be real. How many men in your friend group alone or that you know are consistently intentional about meeting those needs on a regular basis, not on a because I need to basis, because that's always the question. Well, even when we do all this, most of the time that even when we do was 3 years ago. Most of the time that even think about it.
I don't fully agree.
That's okay.
But
okay.
I still feel like you're not answering the question though, because why do women not initiate sex with their men? I want you to think of it from a service standpoint, not a selfish, but a service standpoint. Meaning, this is what this man wants. This is what this man desires. This is what my man desires. Why am I not willing to initiate in something that he desires? Because we all know that marriage is selfless.
I think some of it is maturity, though.
Okay.
I would say for me, maturity. For me, it's growing up. You got to grow up and understand, like even this moment right here is maturity. And since I had the clarity and understanding, like I said, here's what I'll say. If women want emotional connection, they want to understand you as a man. This is what we ask for. You're like, I don't have nothing to say. Nothing is in my mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? For us, that's not enough. Because then I say, when you say I need sex, I'm like, well, what does that mean? I just do. So it's like what we're looking for that feeds these things, literally said intimacy and affection and affirmation, all that stuff like that, and non-sexual touch is what connects us to you. But you don't want to give us any of those things. You can attest to the fact that as I have continued to explore this for myself and that you've seen more initiation.
Absolutely.
The initiation is based off of my clarity, though.
Yeah,
the initiation is off of my understanding. Because I have a different level of understanding, I am willing to initiate more. Before that, it was just, it's not on my mind. And it still don't be on my mind. Initiate, it's servicing you. It's not sex for me. Mm-hmm. For me, it's not, sex ain't on my mind more. Mm-hmm. It's on my mind the same.
On the same amount. Okay.
It's on my mind the same amount it always has been.
Conscious.
You're on my mind.
Mm.
You.
That's a gem.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Let me make sure that one was got that time.
Let's make sure we got that gem. That's a gem.
It's not, sex is not on my mind any more than it was before. You are on my mind. What you need, what you want, and what it means for you in connecting with me for me to now get what I want. And that's where I say men and women are different, because I don't feel like men think like that. Where it's like, I know she wants this. I know she wants to feel connected to me. I know she wants me to open up more. I know she wants to get into my mind. I know she wants to plan with me. She wants to know. Women are, we reproduce, and we are the only things that can create life. And so I believe and multiply things. And so when a man gives a woman his vision, think about all the things that come from stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Men want to be affirmed by the woman, and I want you to believe in me. When you watch that movie by Tyler Perry, Acrimony,
yeah,
and where Taraji, you know what I'm saying? She believed in him at first.
She did.
She was sick and tired of him for a long time, though, for longer.
Sick as shit.
And so when he finally got everything together and got to where he had been looking to go to all that time, there was another woman that started to believe in him and speak life into him. And there's so many movies like that where it's like the one that starts to speak life into what you want to breathe into, like it's like you turn into a whole nother person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then you start to believe more in yourself. So it's like, if you know that that's where multiplication comes from in my life, why wouldn't I give her what she wants, which is to know me more, to get deeper into me, into my being. So, and I know when she feels like that, I don't even have to ask.
So the life lesson is, for men, if you want more sex, you need to open up more, and you need to be more emotionally involved with her.
Emotionally involved and intentional about servicing her too.
Exactly. Be intentional about servicing her needs, you know, because your needs will be a byproduct of her needs being met. Your needs will automatically be met.
It's all intertwined.
And it's all intertwined.
Because they're opposite, they're all intertwined.
But as the man, you got to take the lead. You got to
do.
take the lead and initiate the intentionality.
For sure.
So how to meet her need
Yes.
is to be consistent, obviously.
For sure.
Affirm her just because, not just because the sun came up. Affirm her, pretty
Yes.
much. Okay.
Kiss me when you wake up.
Okay. Stank breath and all.
All of it.
Make her feel beautiful. Learn what's on her mind and include her in your life. Make eye contact. Verbally affirm her during sex. So that means like when Brittany saying, "Who's you love this?"
Never have I.
What we doing it?
No, like tell her
So,
yo,
dang, you know what I'm saying?
fire.
Like
I
you
love
fire.
because it's
Like
like
this
it's
pussy
different than
fire.
just be like, oh, I just want to have sex with you because you look so good. Like nah, like you please me. Like I really have a craving for that. Like because I feel like that's what women do. Like nigga, I need that. Okay, like do you know what I'm saying? Like anyway, move on.
This
Anyway, move on, please.
is the move on for me. Stay close afterwards.
Okay.
Hold me.
Don't even want to hold you. They want to roll over and be like, girl, this nigga mouth be sleep so fast.
Yo, I'm so sorry about this, but I'll be putting in work, so I'll be tired. And it be late as hell. Okay.
Nigga, even if it's noonday.
That's a lie.
Ooh, I just need a nap.
Whew, man. All right, learn from her. She can teach you how to connect with her, which I completely agree, because it's the only way you're going to actually know how to do this thing is to ask and learn from her. Identify her need and her preference for touch.
I think we talked about that.
Interesting.
It is because I think it talked about, me and you talked about this, like how does she touch you the most? And for me, I'm a hugger. But I have to ask you for hugs. Like, can I have a hug? You don't just like hug me. And so when it talks about like identify like her need, but her preferences is typically how she does it to you.
So you want to be hugged.
I love hugs.
Okay, and I want my dick grabbed. So let's do more of that.
This is a woman's needs. This is the problem. Is that this is the
I'm
problem.
just
The problem is
communicating.
y'all so damn tit for tat.
No,
bro.
no, I'm communicating my needs. So
That's not
you know-
about your needs. This is not about you, nigga.
Y'all hear this shit? Yo,
How to meet her needs? Well, in order for me to meet your needs, I would love to meet you.
no, I'm just saying since you're expressing me what your need is,
Move
I'm expressing
along.
what my need is. All right.
Yep.
You want to be hugged more. I get it.
He don't care, y'all.
I really do.
Those are his other two needs, though. The other two needs for men are initiation and affirmation. And he's already talked about initiation by asking that question. And for affirmation is like affirming who he is, affirming him to be a good lover, because we understand now that that is a very huge part of you. And treat him like you would want to be treated. I am a huge advocate for this. I was talking to my best friend the other day, and, you know, we were having this conversation. I think you walked in on us talking about it.
Oh, really?
And I said you walked in. What do you mean, oh, really?
I gotta remember this.
We were talking about
one year after the other.
We were talking about what we wanted from our husbands in regards to more initiation of treating us like queens, or more initiation of the previous chase life we had once lived. And but my response also was like, when was the last time she and we had this conversation and talking about like, I want him to do more of this, and if he did more of this, he wouldn't have to ask for that, and blah blah blah. But in the same breath, I also asked her like, when was the last time we did that for them? When was the last time we planned a date? Because you can't say you don't know what to do if I at least show you what I'm looking for. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm very consistent with like, if you're having a bad day, bringing you a card, like just to uplift your spirits. It's not to say that I want a card. It's the intentionality of, damn, I wasn't expecting that. Because I never tell you. You go in the room at some point and you're like, damn, babe, that was great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's like, when was the last? Sometimes it's done to show you what I want.
Mm. I got you.
Or how I'm like, it's like, but I just don't think niggas put that shit together. Like, I think niggas do not connect the dots of like, oh, wow, I too could do this. It's like, that was great. She's awesome. She's so thoughtful.
I too could do this.
I too could do this.
I think we do, but
I don't.
I think we try to be too perfect.
It also said, understand that body image does matter. That like y'all actually do care about what you look like, or what you look like to us.
We do. That's why I'm in that gym.
And you look the F good.
Appreciate it.
You welcome.
You
No. Move
this
along.
is hilarious. The other woman's needs is spiritual intimacy. When you have a mutual, heartfelt desire to be close to God, when you see God's direction for your marriage.
It's leadership.
It's leadership. Yeah. Okay.
But under someone's leadership,
Yeah. Meeting this need of having conversations around spiritual things and praying with her and for her, focusing on her spiritual strengths when you see her make a difficult decision based on her convictions and affirm and encourage her.
I think that's important to talk about because we're kind of on that journey right now. We're finding a church and like, it's like the debrief after service, like, dang, that was good. But it's like, I always say that.
What do you mean you always say that?
I feel like a lot of, think about back in the day when they used to see like your grandmother or like grandmothers would be at church, but the grandfather wouldn't be at church. You know what I'm saying? And so I think when it's talking about spiritual intimacy, it's like something that's huge for me. It's like being able to have those conversations where we're communing with God together. Like we're looking to build our relationship with him together. And like even recently I've gotten some opportunities to be at different churches as a worship leader and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not personally willing to compromise what we're growing spiritually right now and building as a family at a church versus just going to go get another check.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so when it's talking about like when you see her make a decision based on her convictions, like encourage that. Like that was, I just did that.
Did I encourage you in that?
Yeah, no, yeah,
too?
you did. But it's like understanding like that's what spiritual growth is. Or like now we're talking about the series that we're in the church is talking about prayer. And last week we talked about like the different, it's like being able to continue the conversation past church.
Right.
It's relationship.
I like it. All right, so it says romance, love in action. That means a wife feels romance when her husband does anything that shows her care for her. To show his care for her and thinks about her. Special phone calls, notes, surprises, something out of the ordinary or an ordinary day. She feels romance when her husband talks with her without distractions.
My God.
When he holds her hand and kisses her every morning. I feel like I'm more of the person that wants to have undivided attention with no distractions rather than you.
You think so?
Yeah, I think like when we're in our bed, if you haven't noticed, I don't play with my phone. I don't have my phone in my hand. I put it to the side. But you do.
Ooh, are you calling me out on the show like that?
No, not calling you out. Well, I guess we get it.
You definitely just called me out.
Okay, all right, well, we can move on.
It's okay. No, go ahead.
No, but I'm saying like, is that a time to have undivided attention, or
if that's what you're looking for? Like, I mean, there's a level of awareness now that you brought it up. Okay. But you also have to understand, like, it's not undivided attention. It's not I'm trying to do it on purpose. Mm-hmm. It's like I said earlier, this is the first time I've had some time to myself.
Right, yeah.
Think about it. I done spent all day doing client work, building presentations, dealing with my child, and
right.
servicing my husband, making sure we had dinner, doing all the things. Mm-hmm. And then to top it all off.
It's good.
Oh. And then to top it all off, now you're in the bed. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, I want to sit and talk. Like, one, rare. Second, new. Third, this is my me time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if it's my me time, like, I think, I'm not negating what you're saying, though. I'm not like, I don't want to,
I get it.
It to sound like I'm like, F what you talking about. But what I'm saying is, like, that has been my space to do that. So now that you're in my space, also watching the basketball game that I don't want to watch,
right.
while in my me time space, like, you got to understand that it's also my me time, because then you be coming in there when I'm trying to have my me time, and also like, can you cut your light off? I'm like, bro, you are literally ruining my zen right now.
So there needs to be even communication.
That's what you're looking for. I didn't know that's what you're looking for.
No, I just like when I get into the bed, I'm just making the opportunity there to have you as, my full attention and not.
But does that mean you're waiting for me to initiate a conversation? Like, this is your moment. Like, here's your chance to unload all the things that you've been waiting to tell me.
I'm saying if there was ever a conversation needed, or if there was a question you asked me, I just want to make sure I'm available, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
To make me aware of that, because but I think a way that could be done better.
Okay.
Is you talk to me. Like, it's kind of like you
That's what
said.
it
You said I got in the bed. I put my phone to the side and I give you my undivided attention.
I don't say I give you my undivided. I'm saying
you're not. That's my point. This is your intent. So now you're sitting in the bed looking at me like, where's your intention?
I'm not
what
looking
are you
at you.
doing? And I'm like,
I'm not looking at you. I'm watching the game. I'm saying I'm available if she wants to now ask these questions that they always love to ask 10 at night.
But how would I know that?
Your goals in the next 10 to 15 years.
How would I know that?
I'm available now.
You need a sign. Maybe we should get a candle. You know, them candles that be like, light this when you want to have sex. We need a candle that says, this is your time to ask me all the questions.
That is so funny.
Think about, do you understand what you just said though? Like, I'm the one with my phone on the side of the bed and you with your phone in the bed. And this was your opportunity to be undivided attention. For what though? Like,
I don't know. It's all right.
let's go to bed.
Oh, man, for real.
But no, romance, I mean, I hope y'all got a lot of value from this episode. Minus our little hiccup that's on the video. Y'all will end up seeing that. But audio people, you got the full shebang.
Yeah, you did.
Y'all should definitely subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get the full piece that you kind of missed. Technical difficulties will not be our future. God is. But yeah, your life lesson, you already said?
I think I said my life lesson. Yeah, it's to for one, for men to be intentional. And I'm just saying for myself, to be more intentional about meeting the need of my wife, and not for reciprocation, but because it meets her needs, and I'm invested in serving her needs. You know what I'm saying? So that's my life lesson.
And I would say that my life lesson is literally the same thing. It's like, being intentional about understanding and learning what sex means for you, so that it doesn't feel like it's just sex. And now in knowing that, I can operate differently and treat you differently and serve you more in the capacity of what you want versus in the way that I want. So this has been another episode of the So Let's Talk About It podcast. I am your co-host, Brittany Garrison.
Malcolm Garrison.
And you can follow me at Brittany Danelle.
You can follow me at Malcolm_2_Garrison.
And don't forget to follow the show at So Let's Talk About It Pod on all platforms. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review. Definitely write us a review, y'all. The reviews are fire. I definitely love reading them and what you got, especially from this episode. But make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify, and anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And like, share, tell a friend, send this to your friend. I know y'all gonna send this one though for sure.
Oh yeah.
The sexcapades. Okay. We should go.
We're gonna get into it.
Love y'all. We'll see y'all on the next episode.
All right, y'all.